Welcome, everyone. This is Pivot Point, Strategy for Change. I'm Nik Michael. Today, we're talking about something that I think is going to hit home for a lot of you, especially if you're a parent or if you work with kids. We're diving into decision fatigue and parenting. And I'm telling you, once you understand this concept, so many things are going to click into place about why you're so exhausted at the end of the day. So picture this scene. You're rushing to get your kid to practice, and you are already running late. You look around and realize their sports bag isn't packed again. And you hear yourself saying something like, "Come on, let's go. We're going to be late. Where's your equipment bag? I told you to pack it. We've been through this already. Remember what we've talked about. You have to take responsibility for it. I'm not packing it anymore, and I'm not getting into an argument. If we're late, you'll have to explain to your coach what happened. I'm done. It's your responsibility." Sound familiar? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. This is a moment that nearly every parent knows all too well. That tense exchange that happens after you've promised yourself that this time, you'll step back and let your child handle it themselves. Yet, even with the best intentions, you find yourself caught in the same exhausting loop, doing for your kids what they could and should be doing for themselves. And here's what's wild. It's rarely because you don't know better. It's not a lack of knowledge or love. It's something else entirely. This slow depletion of mental bandwidth, where decision fatigue quietly takes hold and hijacks your best intentions. So let's start with the basics. What is decision fatigue? It's the under-recognized force that's shaping every aspect of your parenting, one tiny choice at a time. And I mean that, literally, one choice at a time, over and over and over again. Picture starting your morning like you're sprinting a marathon before you've even finished breakfast. You're juggling drop-offs, work emails, or pinging and ponging. You're mentally planning meals for the week, and there's this cascade of little choices happening, often before you've finished your first cup of coffee. Should I make eggs or just do cereal? Does she need a jacket today? Did he finish that homework? Is it picture day? What's for dinner tonight? Do we have milk? When's that permission slip due? Sound familiar? And it's not just a feeling. Researchers have actually studied this, and they estimate that adults make about 35,000 decisions a day. 35,000. Parents? They're shouldering even more than that. This barrage of choices does more than just tire you out. It quietly alters how you parent, how you connect with your family, and how you care for yourself. There's this psychologist named Roy Baumeister who studied decision fatigue extensively, and he found that after a long series of decisions, our ability to make sound choices begins to decline. It's like your brain has a battery, and every decision drains it a little bit more. By the time you're dealing with homework battles at 7 p.m., your battery is basically flashing red. And here's the thing about being a parent. The pressure never ceases. You're managing your own needs, your children's needs, your partner's needs, if you have one, and sometimes elderly parents too. Decision fatigue isn't reserved for those high-stakes moments like major discipline decisions or big schoolwork choices. It's woven into everyday routines. The bedtime battles, the homework supervision, the meal prep, the emotional support. Over time, this relentless demand leads to a mental crash where even simple tasks can feel absolutely insurmountable. You know what happens when decision fatigue really builds up? Tasks that used to be minor start feeling monumental. You find yourself getting impatient over things that wouldn't normally bother you. You become more rigid, especially when your kids push your boundaries. You might snap over small infractions, or suddenly a trivial problem feels like an urgent crisis. Let me give you an example. Your kid asks if they can have a snack before dinner. Normally, you might think it through. Are they genuinely hungry? How close to dinner are we? What kind of snack? But when you're decision fatigue, this simple question can feel like the last straw. You might snap, no, without even thinking. Or you might just say, fine, whatever, do what you want, because you literally cannot make one more decision. For parents who value control, and let's be honest, that's what most of us, to some degree, this strain can be particularly intense. You want routines to run like clockwork. You want things done right. But the need to micromanage everything, paradoxically, increases your exhaustion. It erodes your empathy, your flexibility, your calm. You might find yourself saying things like, fine, do whatever you want, throwing your hands up in defeat, or you might swing to the other extreme and double down on control, becoming even more rigid because you're desperate to feel like something is working. When you're worn down like this, your patience thins. And ironically, the desire to manage everything perfectly often deepens. This leads to more power struggles, less harmony, and honestly, neither approach offers any real relief. So why do we do this to ourselves? Why do parents take on so much more than they need to? The roots of decision fatigue often lie in those powerful, large, unconscious beliefs about what it means to be a good parent. There's this concept in Gestalt therapy called introjection. Basically, it's when you swallow whole these external rules or values without really examining them. For parents, this might look like accepting the belief a good parent never fails or lets their child fail, so you take on too much. You micromanage your child's responsibilities, even when it's actually detrimental to their growth. An interject might show up as a parent consistently completing their child's homework just to avoid disappointment or judgment from others, or making sure every aspect of family life appears flawless. And here's what happens. The child learns quickly that their parent won't let them fail, which reinforces over-involvement. From a cognitive behavioral therapy perspective, there are these automatic thoughts and core beliefs driving everything. Parents who are susceptible to decision fatigue often hold beliefs like, I'm only worthy if I am needed, or if my child struggles, I've failed. These beliefs drive perfectionistic and over-involved behaviors. For example, you might constantly check whether your child has packed their bag because you can't tolerate even the slightest chance of them forgetting something. Related patterns include avoidance, where you step in to prevent any potential conflict or challenge. There's catastrophizing, where a forgotten water bottle feels like a personal or parental disaster. Then there's acceptance and commitment therapy, which adds another important layer. ACT explains parental rigidity and overfunctioning as forms of something called experiential avoidance. That's a fancy way of saying you're trying to escape or suppress uncomfortable internal experiences. Here's the truth that might sting a little. Parents often step in, not because their child truly needs help, but to avoid their own uncomfortable emotions. The guilt about not doing enough, the anxiety about their child's potential failure, the fear of judgment from others, parents or teachers. Instead of tolerating the discomfort of watching your child struggle and learn from their mistakes, you just do the task yourself. It provides immediate relief from your own anxiety, but it robs both you and your child of essential growth. This psychological rigidity, clinging tightly to the need for control and comfort rather than allowing space for uncertainty, is remarkably common in parenting. ACT guides you to notice these uncomfortable feelings as they arise, diffuse from them, and act according to your deeper values rather than your immediate fears. What does diffuse mean? It means stepping back from difficult thoughts and feelings, observing them without getting caught up in them or letting them dictate your behavior. So instead of thinking, I'm a bad parent if my child fails. Diffusion allows you to notice that thought. I'm having the thought that I'm a bad parent if my child fails, and recognize it. Just a thought, not a fact or a command. This creates space to choose actions aligned with what truly matters, raising a capable, resilient child rather than simply avoiding your own discomfort in the moment. There are other patterns at play also. From psychodynamic and family systems approaches, some parents manage their own anxiety by denying their child's readiness for independence or by projecting their own fear of failure onto their child. This projection operates unconsciously. You experience your own discomfort with imperfection or loss of control and attribute it to your child as incompatibility or unreadiness. For instance, you might insist your child isn't ready to pack their own lunch or manage their morning routine, not because they genuinely lack the ability, but because you feel anxious about relinquishing control or tolerating the possibility of forgotten items. Similarly, refusing to allow a teenager to do their own laundry out of fear they'll ruin the clothes or not do it right often reflects your own introjected standards of perfection rather than an honest assessment of the teenager's actual competence. You may be unconsciously replaying messages from your own childhood. Things must be done perfectly. Pattern emerges in how parents handle sibling conflict. If you immediately intervene in every disagreement to prevent any emotional discomfort or perceived failure, rather than coaching children through resolution or allowing them to work it out independently, that's often a blend of control, anxiety avoidance, and a belief that conflict itself is dangerous. You may fear that without constant mediation, relationships will fracture or someone will be hurt, when in reality, children often develop crucial negotiation and repair skills through these very moments of friction. The everyday struggle in my work with parents is I hear this all the time. They recount how time pressure pushes them to just do it themselves, even though they know stepping back is better for long-term development. They express it with such honest fatigue. We're always pressed for time. I can't just stand there and wait for my child to pack their backpack or gather their sports gear. It's faster if I do it myself. I know it's not ideal, but we're always in a rush. And I get it. I really do. The daily chaos puts your long-term parenting goals in direct conflict with the urgent need to get out the door or avoid a meltdown. It's this tug of war between fostering independence and surviving the morning rush. And decision fatigue amplifies this. It amplifies this tension to the point where it's so unbearable at times. These moments capture the profound struggle between what you know helps your children grow and what feels necessary just to navigate the relentless demands of modern life. You're not failing. You're not doing it wrong. You're exhausted. And that exhaustion is real and valid. So here's the good news. There's an antidote to decision fatigue, and it begins with something called conscious delegation, transferring appropriate responsibilities to your children. The most effective way to lighten your mental load is by allowing your kids to take ownership of age-appropriate tasks. By giving children ownership of daily decisions, choosing their clothes, packing their bags, managing their morning routines, you're doing two things simultaneously. You're fostering their independence while reclaiming your own mental clarity. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Think about what children already are able to do independently at school. From the earliest grades, students are developing self-reliance by completing classroom tasks. They're cleaning up their workstations, disposing of paper scraps from art projects, carrying the lunch crate to the cafeteria, putting away gym equipment after phys ed. If children can manage these responsibilities in structured school settings, they're capable of similar tasks at home, often way more than we give them credit for. The key is matching responsibilities two developmental stages. Let me walk you through what this might look like. In the elementary years, think of kindergarten through second grade, children can do quite a bit. They can choose their own clothes and lay them out the night before. They can use a visual checklist to remember their backpack essentials. They can charge their iPad or Chromebook. They can clear their own dishes after meals. These might seem like small things, but they're building blocks of executive functioning. As kids move into third through fifth grade, they're ready for more. They can pack their own lunches with some initial guidance from you. They can set and respond to their own alarm clock. They can organize their homework materials. They can take responsibility for their sports equipment and musical instruments. No more last-minute scrambles for the soccer cleats because your kid knows where they are. They're the ones keeping track. Middle schoolers in 6th grade through 8th grade are ready for even greater autonomy. They can manage their morning routines from start to finish without reminders. They can prepare simple breakfasts like toast, cereal, or scrambled eggs. Yes, scrambled eggs. They can do their own laundry from sorting to folding. They can keep track of their assignment due dates using a planner or digital calendar. And high school students in 9th through 12th grade should be operating with substantial independence. They can cook complete meals for themselves or for a family. They can manage their own transportation arrangements with friends or public transit where appropriate. They can schedule their appointments when possible. They can handle their academic workload, including long-term project planning. One parent told me with genuine regret, she said, "I never taught him how to make eggs. I feel like I didn't prepare him for college." And this moment of recognition speaks to a broader truth. The skills we assume our children will somehow absorb often require intentional practice and gradual transfer of responsibility. Teaching a middle schooler to scramble eggs isn't just about nutrition. It's about building competence, confidence, and the executive functioning skills they need for adult life. These small shifts do more than build responsibility. They create a profound change in family dynamics. When an 8th grader can pack their own lunch and a high school junior can prepare dinner once a week, you're not just delegating tasks, you're freeing up mental bandwidth that allows you to be present in more meaningful ways. The goal here isn't less parenting, it's healthier, more sustainable parenting. Delegating decisions doesn't mean stepping back from your role as a parent. It means stepping into a more balanced version of it. When you share responsibility, you create space for what truly matters. Instead of rushing to prepare a meal alone, you can connect with your family during dinner conversations. Instead of mentally juggling tomorrow's logistics while your child is trying to talk to you about their day, you can guide them through emotional challenges with patience you wouldn't have had otherwise. You can be present with your partner. You can take a quiet moment for yourself without feeling guilty. This is the shift from managing every detail of your children's lives to mentoring them as they learn to manage their own. And that's what parenting is. That's what parenting is supposed to be, right? Not controlling everything, but gradually releasing responsibility as they grow. Finding balance again and again will actually start making a shift that you'll recognize and build throughout time. It begins with awareness. You need to recognize the signs of decision fatigue in yourself, the snapping over small things, the rigidity when plans change, the avoidance of difficult conversations, the desperate need to control outcomes, understanding what this exhaustion looks like and feels like, and seeing the patterns that sustain it opens up the door to reclaiming equilibrium. Just naming it, "I'm in decision fatigue right now," can help you step back and make a more conscious choice. The path forward requires courage, not perfection. And I want to emphasize that because I think parents put so much pressure on themselves to get it all right, prioritizing self-care, setting boundaries, and building routines that distribute responsibility. These aren't signs of weakness. They're deliberate acts of strength and wisdom. When you let go of your micromanaging. You teach your children something profound. You teach them that you trust them to handle their own lives, and you trust yourself to guide rather than control. This shift builds their resilience and competence while freeing you to move more simply, managing family life to genuinely enjoying it. I often remind parents that this work isn't about getting it right every time. There will be mornings when you pack the bag yourself because you're running late. There will be moments when anxiety wins and you intervene when you wish you hadn't. That's not failure, that's being human. What matters is the overall direction. Gradually releasing the grip, noticing when fear is driving your choices, returning again and again to your deeper values, not perfection, but progress. Here's the bigger picture. Here's what I want you to take away from this. When you release the need to control every detail, you create space, not just for your children to grow, but for your entire family to flourish. In that space, you discover the energy and presence to be the parent you truly want to be. Not perfect, not exhausted, not perpetually managing crises, but connected, intentional, and ultimately at peace with the beautiful, messy reality of raising independent human beings. Your kids are more capable than you think, and you deserve to not carry the weight of every single decision on your shoulders. When you delegate age-appropriate tasks, you're not being lazy or checking out. You're being wise. You're teaching your kids that they're competent and trustworthy. And you're giving yourself the gift of mental space to actually be present for the things that matter most. So maybe today, pick one thing, one small task that you could hand over to your child. Not everything at once, just one thing. See what happens. Notice the discomfort that comes up. Notice the urge to step in and take over. And then make a conscious choice about whether you really need to or whether this is an opportunity for both of you to practice something new. Your exhaustion is real. Your struggle is valid. And there is a way forward that doesn't involve just pushing through or trying harder. It involves doing less, delegating more, and trusting that your kids and you are capable of handling it. Thanks for being here. If this resonated with you, share it with another parent who might need to hear it. And remember, you're doing better than you think, even on the hard days, especially on the hard days that seem almost impossible to get through. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it. I'm Nik Michael. This is Pivot Point Strategy for Change.